Alright, hey everyone. I just released a video a few days ago overviewing the ship, and I thought I would do another one, but this time I'd just use my voice instead of the text. I made a few text mistakes and it was hard to read at parts, so I thought voice would be easier. And so, this overview will be of this car I'm currently working on. It's a Formula E kind of car, but more like set in the future, I guess. And this is like a rough render of it right now. It's kind of old actually. The model's been updated since then, but this is what it looks like currently, and this was the kind of like a tune render to give you an idea. So what I'm going to do is go through kind of how I started and where it currently is now. So let's start with one. So with this part, I'm just trying to get the base shape down. Kind of, I understood, oh, I want a big spoiler here. This person, by the way, I have these kind of, I didn't make these models, but I just downloaded them, and then I put like a block next to him, so I try and make him, I think, on average, 1.80 meters. Let's have a look. 1.8, I think, should be, I'm sure. Yeah, about. That actually looks a bit lower. So that's probably around my height. I'm about 5'9". So that's kind of an average, I guess. And then I can put everything else to scale, so I know roughly how it would interact with someone the actual height. At this stage, I think, what was this? I'm not sure what this was for. It makes me think it's the steering wheel. So maybe I was kind of combating whether to make it a single seater in the center or make it asymmetrical. I went with asymmetrical in the end because I find asymmetrical things more interesting in general. But yeah, 4 wheels, spoiler, main kind of front canopy, I guess, and then front wing. That was the idea. And this bounding box, which if I just, here, is the actual scale of a real F1 car, to give you an idea. So you'll see that I kind of grew out of that eventually. The car ends up being a lot bigger than a current F1 car. But yeah, that was the first part. And let's have a look. Okay, so this is save 10. And you can see it's, I've gone quite a way actually. So let me just load this up. So this is a mood board. This is an example of a kind of mood board I use. This is not the exact one because the mood board chose to become corrupted and I had to make a new one. But what I'll do is I'll put honestly too many images together, but the images will be for specific things. So this one, for example, is specifically shapes. I won't look at this for anything, like I'll look at it in general for other things, but most of it will be shape focused. This stuff here is presentation, so this is all for the rendering process. During the modeling process, I probably won't even look at this area very much. And I kind of like section it off, and it's not really a case of taking ideas, but just kind of getting influenced as to how cars are built, for example, or where certain worlds or certain shapes may be used. And I won't like go one-to-one and build it exactly like this, but I'll be like, oh, okay, I can see that they have these circular bolts at certain areas, and that's probably to help bolt whatever needs to be bolted to the frame. And then you can tell that by these triangular shapes here that, oh, this is for structural rigidity, I guess. And you can kind of get the idea from there. Okay, I can put this into my design in this way, but I won't go in and model this one-to-one if I'm designing something. If I needed to model it one-to-one, then obviously you stick as close as you can to the reference. But for this sci-fi kind of based object, I want it to be as unique as possible. I don't really want people to look at it and go, oh, this reminds me of this kind of thing. Like, it's not a bad thing all the time, but sometimes you want it to, have its own identity, I guess. So, yeah, here you can see that the spoiler's been developed a bit. It's now asymmetrical properly, so seats over, steering wheel's over. I've got like this kind of large surface here. At this point, I'm still worrying about dimensions and proportions overall. So here is like, as you can see, a diffuser, or basic kind of diffuser. It's not really a diffuser, but wheel idea with kind of a central, like inner central hub. So that was me playing with the idea, and I still am playing with the idea of possibly like having brakes that work via gravity instead of actual brake discs, using grip on the, like with brake calipers and slowing it down that way, but more like reversing the gravitational, I guess, effects inside the wheel. So that was like an early stage. This was suspension before I did any research on what F1 suspension looks like, but you know, so I fixed that later. And then the rest of it is pretty much shape, just messing around with shape, trying to get a rough silhouette as to how I want it. I kind of want it to be low, aggressive. I don't know, I think that's most of this. It's pretty freaking simple, to be honest, but yeah, just show you, that's what the wireframe looks like at the moment. I try and stay very simple with the wireframe, because I normally make it too complex too early, so that's just something I'm learning and getting used to as I go along. Next is 3. So, let me just go back one, kind of compare. Alright, so the front was empty, and I think this shape was getting on my nerves actually. So you can see here, now the shape's a lot more sleek. Kind of rolls in from the bottom, goes up to the top, and it kind of leads the eye much better than it did before, as it was just a block. I've added a fin here. I think I might have put animation in at this bit. Let's have a look. Yes, no, yes, no. Oh, no animation yet. Okay, no animation yet. But spoiler. Because I want active aero in here, so now we've got diffusers, spoiler. This is the idea of like a red light, kind of like what car is it? Porsche 911, Bugatti Chiron, and Audi A7. They all have like a single rear light, and it's normally like one long strip LED. So that's kind of an inspiration. I don't think I have that on here. If I look. No, so that's just for mental visual library. But yeah, that's one of the ideas for it there. Yeah, this is like my kind of block out placeholder for anything holographic. I will assign like a light material to it. So light red, for example, is a version. It tends to be, let's have a look. It tends to be surface shader, because they're like kind of the brightest a shader can get, I guess. This here at first was supposed to be like something to not reduce drag, but kind of connect the center to the front while also covering tires, because tires are drag heavy. Like you kind of want to cover them as much as possible. I haven't totally succeeded in that so far in this design, because I want the tires to also be exposed. This is kind of choosing function over design, and I'm in that kind of midpoint. But you can see here that I've kind of developed the front spoiler. This is actually pretty close to how it is still, even right now. But the rest of this changes quite drastically. These were going to be, what do you call these? What do you call these? Hang on. They're kind of like diffusers. They can be found, it's kind of like these areas here. So it's the equivalent of these, or this one here. You can kind of see what I was getting at. But still block out at this point. No ultra complex shapes, just a bevel there to imply the shape, because a cube is too square for you to understand what I'm trying to get at. But yeah, so that was 20 saves in. Which one's this? 20, 30. So this is a steering wheel. Sorry, this is funny. Alright, this is a steering wheel I was working at one point. Really weird shape. I deleted it after this pretty much. So this isn't in the final car, but you can see along the way I changed a few things. Now I feel like this one has animation. Let's have a look. I don't know. Let's try this. There you go. Oh, that's horrible. Alright, so jeez, I forgot I did this. Alright, so here you can see the spoilers going straight up. I don't really agree with that, so I changed it later. But you can also see the tilt as well. That would be a high drag, but high downforce setup. Here, I guess, would be like it's increased downforce, but at speed. So it wouldn't create that much downforce, but it would still create drag, I guess. And here would be the slip. Like that's where you'd have the least grip, but you'd slip through the air the easiest. That's like a towing thing, I think. I don't know. Tire covers, because they're more aerodynamic, but I kind of scratched this idea in the end. You can see with this part here, let's go back once. So, okay, I did that earlier. Cool. Where was it? Oh, okay. Yeah, so I did that from the beginning. But the idea behind that I didn't explain was that, you know, it's just to, as I said earlier, cover the back tires. So the air would flow up over and avoid hitting the tire and creating more drag. I don't think anything was done here. There's a vents system here. So this is how it would cool the electric motors, because this car is full electric. It doesn't really need intakes. But the engine side, as you can see by this, is the biggest empty area. This is where the motors would be stored. And I guess some under the seat. However, the seat is pretty damn low. So it actually is unlikely any would fit under the seat. Animation on the door, no animation on the door yet. But you can kind of get the idea here. I didn't know exactly what I was doing with the front. So I placed like a block here, because I knew I wanted something there, but I didn't know what. So I kind of just do placeholder shapes like that as well. Headlight rough design, I deleted it in the end, but you can kind of see what I was getting at. Kind of a sleek, let me turn this off, sleek swoop. And most of that is just focus on form. It's really simple. It is really simple. I don't really like it right now, but I was trying, so it's what it is. And this area is much closer. Like Formula Ones have really weird suspension setups. It's do I have? Yeah, you can see that's the actual suspension. Really weird. No springs in that way. These kind of aerofoil shaped carbon blades, I guess. It's quite interesting. So that was after the research, as you can see. Still didn't know how I was going to connect it in, and that's something I'm still dealing with now. So that'll be just one of those challenges. I've also got here wings that will kind of tilt, as you'll see later, in correspondence to this fin and this rear wing. It's a lot of wings, Jesus. But yeah. And this is save, what save is that? Save 30, so save 40. So this was now more internal work. Here you can see, and I'll just show you this by the way, this is how it works some of the times, is another bounding box. This is so that you can, oh no, not that one, it's this one, yeah. So I can kind of hide this, so I can make interiors. So if you see there, yeah. So I can kind of work underneath it, but also see where the bounding box, I guess, of the object is. And that helps you create the internals while making sure it fits within the external body. Thank you. Yes. So this is that really weird steering wheel. God, so adventurous. Okay, oh, that's a nice shape actually. But yeah, this was just idea generation, I guess. I just went crazy with this, and I didn't keep it, but it's just what I go through. There are a lot of iterations before I reach what I finally want. This one, there you go. So this spoiler is now animated, but it goes kind of out at the same angle as, so you can see here, yeah, it's the same angle as everything actually. Everything kind of follows the same angle. So out and then the downforce mode. The door also flips up in this situation because Lamborghini. So let's have a look around here. Oh, I'm hiding all things. Oh, is it? Am I not able to select this? Alright, I think it's reference. Oh, okay, yeah, it's reference. Alright, cool. Off. Hide. So you can see here more connection. Kind of. This is. Hang on, there you go. So this would be like the internal bit that everything would connect to. I want to have a really big frame, like a frame that goes through the entire vehicle. So it's comprised of this piece. Oh, I've still connected there. Alright, I'll show it in the next model. but it will kind of go through, round, and to the back of here, and it will be one solid big mesh. So that should be fun when I get to that point, but I'm not there yet. 40, 50. Alright, so at this point I've added in some materials, and this just helps me understand how different parts work with, you know, other parts, how everything kind of fits together. So here I decided, oh, I want some glass, because I tend to let's have a look. Tend to use glass a lot. So this is a test fender, but the whole rear of that is glass. I don't think I have any more. I don't have any more test fenders there, but just in general, I tend to use glass quite a lot. And I realize that people stay away from glass. I don't know, maybe it's too shiny for them, but glass, you know, they're like, it's just one of the things I love about renders. I think glass just looks wicked on everything. So I always try and keep some of that in the one that I use. I think I used quite, yeah, so that area up there is glass. Yeah, there's quite a lot of glass in this one actually. Yeah, there's a lot. So I try and keep that, and this car will be no different, for example. So now this was, if I go back, you can see, yeah, so I scrapped this idea here of the kind of central hub. I'm still gonna have one, but it's not gonna be like a cylinder just bang in the middle. I realized it would be nice if there was actually a flow to it. So this kind of flows from the outside of the tire, and then it falls in, and that will kind of draw your eye into the internal part of the tire, which there'll be more detail in, and that's what will then connect to the suspension unit. If I take this away, you can also see, jeez, this is quite cool. Okay, so you can see here, I just added more shapes. Most of this is shape. It doesn't have much justification at this point, but you can see what I was trying to get to with the frame. I think, is this one? Yeah, this is good to show. Oh, let me hide this. So you can see that this would all be one, actually not this piece, but this piece definitely. Yeah. There you go. So this would be one piece. It's not currently, but I would join it, and it would go all the way around. Ignore these pieces, that they wouldn't be on there, these kind of thin things, but it would go all the way around and to this bit where it would have the battery compartment, and that's where I'd have like a, I guess, complex system that would hold all the batteries in place. So that's the idea with that. Let me try and move the door up. No, okay, door's still up. Seating area, I'm still trying to sort that out. At this stage, I still kept the wheel. Can I see something? Actually, I did more detail to the wheel. This is actually quite interesting. Oh. Okay. Yeah, I went a bit crazy with this, honestly. Does this smooth? Oh, it's smooth. Okay. Yeah, so this is what a final mesh. It smooths perfectly. It has a few end-ons because I haven't closed the edges, because I don't know if I'm going to add more things. When I model, I tend to, okay, this is pretty much done, but I tend to leave edges like undone so that I can always go back in and change stuff if I want to change it later, and I will probably want to change it later, so it makes sense to do that. But this is relatively yeah, this is quite developed. I think I ended up, like you can see here, it's not totally finished because I haven't finished these bits. So that if I want to add a hole there, it's easier to add it now versus if I've actually closed off these edges and connected everything. Then it won't. Then I've got to go back into the topology and edit it all over again. That's why I leave the gaps. But yeah, that stone will get scrapped anyway. Fin is now glass, and so are these two bits. I changed that in the end, and the fin remains glass, but these two bits won't. But I think overall that's the main part. These are the kind of brake lights when it's in the rain. You know, like Formula 1 tends to have those flashing lights. I'm not sure if I've got it in the reference. Let's have a look. No, I don't think I have it there. But yeah, you've probably seen it before anyway, so that's what that part is for. Diffuser has a bit more development, but not that much. This, by the way, is this kind of like echoing frame that leads wire all around the entire vehicle, all the way to the front and all the way back round. Connecting that, it's not actually connected right now, so I'll have to deal with that later. But still, I like the form. So this is save 50 and save 60. So I've added rear lights. Computer. I've added rear lights. I can see that this is kind of overhanging. So at this point, the diffuser is actually quite far behind the rear spoiler, and eventually I think that those proportions kind of annoyed me, so I changed that later. But rear suspension, I think I've removed that as well. I don't know. I'm not sure that makes that much sense. This was a battery kind of design. This would be one battery. The car will have many batteries. So this has to be something that looks good when it's what do you call it? Duplicated next to each other, I guess, and in a grid. And I've scrapped that in the most recent one. But this was just like one of those. It was just I just tried, I guess. It's another design attempt on that. Overall, I don't see that many big changes in this one over the last. I think it's like mostly this area, and you can see here I've added in some more interesting. Let me just. No, you can't see it like that. I'll just apply a light there, so you can see I kind of liked this kind of fall off shape, and then it's got a bevel and it goes all the way around. So it's very sword like, and that's why I call the car the switchblade kind of thing. That's where the blade part comes from. Switch, I'm not so sure where that comes from. But I removed I removed the vents because Alex, if you know Alex, hang on. Let's load this up. This guy, my good friend and mentor, hates when I do fin arrangements. And if you notice, the spaceship has a fin arrangement. That's exactly what I did here. So anything with repetition lights like that, or this, or hang on, yeah, that's the main one. I did some in there as well. He hates. He says it's lazy, and he's correct. And I did this because I was lazy and I didn't have enough time. But this is Alex. You've probably seen his stuff because he's beast. But I don't even know what to open. Jesus. If you've seen that before, you know who he is. But so that I removed the fins from I think the previous one. Is it? Yes, I removed the fins from the previous one, and I just went with a smooth intake. Makes sense anyway. The air just needs to go through as fast as possible, cool the batteries. It doesn't need to be really led anywhere other than cooling the batteries. So I think that was one of the major design decisions over here. Also, there's slightly more detail here, but I haven't really gone into much detail on that area. Let's have a look. Next. Alright, so this is quite a big change actually. What did I do here? Alright, so it's loading. Alright, there you go. So I made the actual intake area much more aerodynamic, much more interesting. Before it was, let's have a look. What was this? Before it was this kind of cube shape, and I don't know. It was good for block out, but it's not good for actual. Okay, you know, where are we gonna go with this? Because you don't want to shape something like this, especially the bottom. You can see here there's no bevels or anything. It was block out at the time. So this was a more finalized shape, kind of tapers in, and then it's more narrow here. You can see here as well, there's much smoother curves and it goes over. You can see how the air would actually flow over. This shape is kind of intake-like, so I treated it like an intake. Not at the moment, but in the next situations, you'll see that there's like more supporting details to show that it is an intake. The back is the same at this point. Fin has been developed some more. So give this like another shape so you can see what it looks like properly. Grey, yeah. So you can kind of get the idea of this. at this point, by the way, the topology is still quite simple. Not this area. That's what it looks like unsmoothed. I just drag everything so that it works when I kind of smooth it. Font is still the most detailed part of this area. I've not gone in to touch that very much because I'm just trying to get the overall idea of everything. But yeah, this point, I was quite happy with it. You can see here as well, I've got the interior. I'm now trying to create the interior of the wheel, and here I'm working on some intersection. I have not done any at this point, but you can kind of see what I'm hinting at. Something's going to go in there, and then there might be like a line there, and you're just trying to, it kind of implies structure, mostly because I feel that the repetition here with the direction of the angles helps. So you can tell that, oh, this and this, they kind of fit together, and there'll be something in here that will fit together. But yeah, here is a failed fish looking ass attempts, like kind of these weird fins. I don't know what I was thinking, but it was just an attempt. And I keep them on the sides to see whether it looks better or worse than what was there before. So yeah, I think this is a form study. I was just looking at concepts that I like, and then I was like, oh, let me try and model that just to make sure I can model that, and then I did it. I don't know, it's just a practice thing. 70, that's save 70. Gee, okay. So, oh, save 80. This looks a lot better. Sorry, hang on. Let me turn off any lights. Let me just check there's no lights on. Lights take up RAM, and my computer was at 96% because I had lights on all these scenes, and I have 32 gigabytes of RAM, so that kind of gives you an idea. This is much more developed. Whoa. Oh wait, hang on. 80 dev, 90 dev, 100, 94. Okay, yeah, there was a big jump between 70 and 80. I'm not sure how or why, but yeah, there was. So this is much closer. So let me hide this. Much closer to final. Now I look at it. Yeah, this is actually pretty. Okay, yeah. So at this point I've got lighting in there, and that's to help me see how the light will affect the forms. If you saw the ship video, I've already explained that. But I can see how it casts shadows. I can get an idea of, you know, like the thickness of objects and just forms in general, and how the form language translates. If I reset this workspace to check the animation, really annoying. Right, and then full screen, right, and whoa, okay, hang on, this is a bit broken. Reset, and then back. Whoa, this is really bad. Why are you not working? Okay, there you go. Alright, so yep, this is only rare spoiler at the time of that. Diffuser, much more detailed. This really smooth curve I liked. It was made in like a minute, and then it just looks good, and I've stuck with it. You can kind of see the shape there, and then it has like an interior diffuser here that will move out. You'll see in the next animations, and then this kind of, it's like a ring holder for the rear brake lights or rear rain lights. And I'll worry about integration and how that actually fits together and pieces together later. But you can see here now. So here, this tire I feel was a bit noisy, so I did remove this in the end. But this was more like of a focus on the interior parts of how this gravity mechanism works. Oh, there's more. And yeah, there's actually a lot of stuff in there. You know what? Let's just hide this and hide that. So you can see how the shapes are, and this is what I meant by the intersection earlier. So you can see there, it goes in, then it comes out, then it swings around, and then goes, and then like this part here is in and then out. So it's kind of crossing over into another. How does Alex explain this? So it's like this. So this cylinder here is facing this direction. The plane is facing that direction. Then this one crosses and into it, but actually at a 45-degree angle. Then it goes all the way in, and it meets back up to this one. I'm not that great at explaining the thought process behind it, but it's kind of like I'm just trying to get more into intersecting shapes and what's it? like shapes that cross over into other plane directions. I guess that's the best way I can explain it at the moment. But that's the interior of the rim. That's changed quite a lot now, but I think that's the best way of explaining it. The tires are huge. They're too big at the moment, or too thick specifically. I think probably about there. But I will fix that later. You can see here, is this the same, I think? Yeah, so this area is pretty much the same. But you can see the wheels will have their own interior. I think I may have started. Did I start? So I began at this point making the cable system for this as well, and how it will connect in to the cooler and everything. So that'll be interesting later. This side has also been smoothed out a bit. I'm still working on that though. And I copied this. Hang on. Yes, both. I copied both the top and bottom diffuser to the front as well. Now the idea with this was echoing, so that it would kind of complete it. You can see that the detail has been used twice. I removed this in the end because it became too busy. If I show everything, hang on, hide. From this side view, this is very dense. It's full. You can't actually see any part of the other side. There's like a small gap here. But this area, I didn't really like that, and I felt that it looked a lot better if I could see a gap around here. So it's kind of full, and then there's a gap, and there's this kind of like fat area, and then it kind of arcs towards the front. So it goes kind of along and then curves down, and this would help with that kind of vision, I guess. The second you have like this kind of blocking it, it's just very, I don't know, it looks too static, I think. And yeah, I felt that it would look better without it, so I did remove that in the end. But overall, that is save 80. And save 90, as you can see, is more of a focus on the interior parts. So here I've color coded it so that I can understand, oh, this is part of the frame, and this will be where things connect in. So there'll be like bolt holes. Let's have a look. Tesla is probably a good example. No, not that. Electric. Yeah, so things like this, kind of these connectors, that's where this yellow part would come in handy with connecting and bolting everything down. And you can see here, like, this is where it's connecting to the batteries and so on. And if you look here, the batteries are situated behind the radiator, just here. So that's what I'll do with that. I'm not sure if I'd put like water pump in there or something, and then I'll have circulating water that takes the heat away and circulates it. I've got to still think about all of that. But that's the kind of idea behind it. Here, I can already tell that this one has the more advanced animation. So, yeah, there you go. Lights. Let me just turn off the light in the other one so I don't run out of RAM. It's ridiculous. Yeah, there you go. So here as well, you can see the diffuser now moves as well. So that's there's a lot of animation on this one. So this here is a smaller wing. Now I've got to think about the implementation of that and the fact that it's in front of the rear wheel. There's a lot of thinking to do with that. I might remove it. I might cover the rear wheel. I'm still not sure as to what I'll do with that. But there was like a small wing there that would affect aero as well. Then there's the rear wing that you can see there. This one here will have like, it will go along the strip and will kind of affect the distribution of the downforce. So further forwards or further backwards. This was a rough steering wheel animation for how it would, like, how you'd get in. So the seat would slide to the side, you'd get in, get comfortable, then the seat would slide back in, and the steering wheel would come from beneath and then up, and that's where you'd then, you know, be able to hold it from there. This here was me, yeah, smooth it. You're not gonna like that, but oh well. Getting ready to curve it so that it would fit around this wheel. You'll see that in the next one. I'll show you. Yeah, I'll show you the next one. But yeah, it's not at that point yet. And oh, this is off to the side where I actually make things, and then I bring it in, and then do the act to it. That's so that if I mess this up, I can always go back to the one over there without having to reload an old save and do all of that stuff. But yeah, this is closer to not final, but closer to where it is now, at least. Yeah, much closer actually. So that's what, 90? 94. Okay, so 94. Oh wait, hang on. Let's go back to 90. Turn off the light. Annoying. Yeah, so 94 is where I did a rough animation to show. You can see here I've curved that piece we were just looking at. It's the same piece that was flat. That's what it was for though, to curve and wrap around the wheel. So at this point the wheel has like a proper interior. It's not totally finished, but it's closer. Let's show everything and add the light. I didn't load the video. I didn't think about that. Alright. The idea with this is to have it not deconstruct, but actually construct from scratch. YouTube and like this. There. So this is the idea that I kind of want to implement into it, but obviously I have to build the entire car from scratch, and I need this much detail so that I have this much to animate. So that's why I'm building the entire internals. It makes more sense now if you look at it like that, so that everything will eventually come back in, which will be animation hell, and I'm not sure how I'm going to pull it off, but I'm going to try anyway. So that's why everything has been built to kind of fit together perfectly, from external and internal. So this was like a kind of test I did. You can also see here there's like a few more like details I added. Fin based. I don't think anything else. I think everything here was mostly internal at that point. This, by the way, I didn't take this battery out, is different to the one I was concepting the first time. Actually no, it's the same. Okay, it's the same but grey. I've got a different one now. But the idea with this, I can't show you because this is the wrong file, so don't worry about it. 90, cool. 100. Oh, it's loading. Oh, hang on. Let me turn off the light again. This one. Alright. So this is 100. This, if you looked in the previous video, you would have seen this shape I did. This is not how I'm using it, but it looks much better as a rim here, if I smooth this, than on the spaceship. So, I don't know, I probably won't use this, but it looks decent here anyway. If anyone wants to see the topology on this, I think it's okay. Yeah, it's alright. It's okay. It's not the most even, but yeah, it reminds me kind of a UK plug, but bit weird. This, I don't know honestly what change happened in between here. No, I don't think there was that much of a change in this area. It looks pretty much the same. Steering wheel, that's what it is. The steering wheel. I've been struggling with the steering wheel for some reason. I'm not sure. There's too many ideas you can do it, but at the same time you want it to be ergonomic, and that does create its own issues. So it can't just be looks, it kind of has to look like it's comfortable to hold. But otherwise, this is pretty much the same. And 100 to 120. 120 because there are other models in this scene, but their car stayed relatively the same at this point. This is where I am currently. You can see I removed this front area. I've got this like kind of little area piece here. This would be like an external battery that you plug in and it would give you an extra boost. It would be on both sides. I don't have it at the moment though. And you can see where this car currently is. So it's kind of got a whole internal structure. It obviously needs a lot more detail. And I will go into a lot more detail if I remove this as well. Hide. You can see I've got my work cut out, but yeah, I'm enjoying it so far and it looks pretty good. I'm happy with it. This, by the way, I think I got to around this stage before I even started the spaceship. Then I started and finished the spaceship, and then continues the car all the way back to this point. So I've learned a lot along the way because I did a spaceship in between this car began and where it is now. But overall, pretty happy with it. Kind of gold and white trim, which I like. I added this kind of rough rear light. It's not like it will be refined and I'll actually model it properly, but this was like a rough idea for it. Let's put it into the spoiler setup so you can see this, the rear silhouette. If you look back at how it used to look as well, around this area. Hang on. Ugh. I'm killing my RAM, aren't I? Alright. It was weird. It was weirdly like rare heavy. I don't know. It was just weird. And then I changed it, and at this point, it was. There's kind of like this. It's kind of top heavy there. What's the way of explaining it? It's kind of like an overbite there, and this wasn't far enough out, but neither was this area. It was just weirdly balanced. Here, I'm much more happy with the balance. And this bit kind of comes over the back. I just think it looks a lot better. And if I animate it, oh, go away. Thank you. Yes, mine does this weird thing where it messes up the workspace, and I really don't understand why. And I can't. Oh wait, you know what? Alt V. There you go. So you can see as well, and let's do it again. There you go. So in this state, it's kind of it comes out and it's much wider, much lower aggressive stance that I prefer, and it changes the whole silhouette of the car actually, versus like there where it's much more streamlined, I guess. But yeah, steering wheel is better, still not perfect. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this thing. Either has like a big kind of screen on the front, digital display, another one to the right. This would have I was thinking at one point it could have some of the information from the rear mirror. I'm not sure, but it will have rear cameras, so it'll probably show that instead. And then here are the rear mirrors, but they would not be great for visibility for anything below this area, hence this thing here. But yeah, rough, really basic switch ideas, as you can see. And overall, yeah, this is where it is at the moment. But it should be good. Key shot, if I open up, you can see what a rough. Yeah. So this is the rough render. Let's have a look. This is with the previous version of the vehicle, however. So you can see the back's quite different. But this is what I do along the way just to see how light reflects and refracts off it. I kind of want to know what it might kind of look like before. And I feel that throwing it into Keyshot does help. It's really quick, so the lighting's terrible and it's really dark and it's hard to see probably through this video. But once rendered, that's where I got this one from. And it's changed a lot versus like where it is now. This is quite a different model, but I have an idea of what it looks like, and that's more than enough. So yeah, I hope that kind of gives you an overview of how I reach my my end product. This is not end product, this is halfway, but sorry, it's rendering in the background and it's annoying. But that should help give you an idea. I do have other models. Show all. Oh, I was smart. I deleted them. So and the other models will be part of the entire kind of setup. So this is part of the Strix division lineup, I guess, where this is about this is for military-ish. This is more of a commercial car, but I'm gonna do military. I'll do like different versions. And these are like another 3 vehicles I'm currently working on that will all be part of the same division. But the car is like the furthest ahead, which is why I bothered showing how I got there. The other ones are like less than I don't know. This is maybe a day, 2 days work. That's less. That's like a day's work. That is 30 minutes to an hour. But this is like a lot. You can also see here, this is the newest version. I've not solidified what I'm going to do with this area, but you can see like there's more parts here. So this is like the battery casing and stuff like that. This is still in development though, so don't take this one with a pinch of salt. I'm still deciding what to do with this area. But yeah, I hope that this helps somewhat. And if you have any questions, which you probably will, because I didn't explain the best, then yeah, ask away. There are some tiny details that no one's ever gonna see, but I don't know, I get carried away, and this is something I'm working on still. This also is the intake area I was talking about earlier. But yeah, there's details on details on details, and I've probably forgotten a lot of details that are here. But yeah, I hope that helps, and I think that's it. Let's have a look. Yeah, that's it. Cool. Alright, thanks.